live in virtual Watkins, Glen for the final round of the iRysa GT3 Championship. It's going to be an exciting one here as we determine the champion today here in this historic racetrack here. I'm joined by my co-host today, Jose Cabrera. I'm Anthony. Jose, what are we going to look for today?
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the stream and welcome to tonight's broadcast presented by ASiMRacing Network. We're here. It's going to be a really fun race at Watkins Glen, one of my personal favorite tracks. This was a track that I got really heavily involved with when I was still doing the Ferrari Challenge series, when iRacing was still hosting the Ferrari Challenge series, and Watkins Glen was one of my favorite tracks. I loved the flow here. So really excited to see these GT3 cars go around tonight.
Same. It is always a good sight to see these cars. They are fast, they are exciting, they are advanced, and they're fun. So, you're going to make a great race for you today, especially when we have the championship on the line here. So let's go ahead and take a look at practice, what we got going on. We have about 7 minutes left into the sessions before we go to qualifying. Let's see what we got right now. Who's on top of the leaderboard and who would be doing their best today to get the win today. And currently on the leaderboard right now, your leader is Alessandro Di Tullio, followed by points leader R.C. Anderson. And next is Francisco Queixa and Bobby Ross. Bobby's making a hell of an improvement this week here in the GT3 field. And then rounding up the top 5 is Diego Iglesias.
I just want to check a couple things here. And let's make sure that we switch over. There we go. So, this is kind of one of the fun things about iRacing, is that we have all this kind of control over the cameras, and we've got this kind of creative control that kind of unheard of in esports, I guess, because now we're able to modulate a lot of what we've grown up seeing on television. We can see that now, so we definitely want to play around a lot with how things are looking here, and want to make sure that it looks good. So R.C. Anderson is an Indy driver, right, Anthony?
Part-time IndyCar driver, as far as I know. He is also a Lucas Oil driving school instructor here, one of the top ones as well. And he's currently our championships leaderboard here. Second in that would be Alessandro Di Tullio, who is currently our practice leader at the moment right now. These boys have been matted head-to-head whenever they can, both in the GT3 series and in the Miata series. So it's interesting to see who can adapt the best today here at Watkins Glen.
And it looks like Eduardo Pecorini is running in P6 in the Mercedes. Looks like the Mercedes is going to be another one of the top contenders for tonight's race. Actually, a Ford in the series tonight. 2 Fords. Looks like George DiPiero and Jerry DiPiero, they're both running the Ford GT, so I think it's going to be the first time that we're going to see the Ford GT on track.
DiPiero brothers introducing the Ford. Let's go ahead and take a look at one of them right now. You got to see that right now.
Let's see if we can
there
get
it
a little,
is.
There we go, we can get a little close to camera there.
Arguably probably the older Ford GT, as the newer one is the GTE model, not a GT3, so it'll be interesting to see how this one would compare in this type of track. I'm sure it will be more suitable in the straightaways as it's more streamlined than the other cars.
Yeah, and the difference being between the GTE and the GT3, the GTE is not going to have any of the assist like ABS or traction control, so you have much more of a raw car, whereas in these cars, drivers are able to have a wide variety of different ABS settings, different traction control settings, and iRacing does a really good job at modulating that. A lot of these cars have, varying levels of traction control and ABS, and you can change that on the fly on your steering wheel.
Definitely, and that's the fun here with iRacing, is with the technology that there is out in the market with companies such as Fanatec and Thrustmasters. You too can feel like just like a GT3 driver with the plethora of types of inputs and controls and setting changes you can have on the steering wheel, like you mentioned, Jose. I know you have one of those fancy steering wheels. I can't say that I am able to have fun with those things.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of it too is being able to map buttons to do different things, like run pit stops. So in iRacing, a lot of the driving, you're doing it all on your own. So you're your own crew chief, you're your own driver, and you're having to handle even pit stops all on your own. So I wanted to make sure that when I was driving that I had full control of that and I was able to do it in the most efficient way possible. So that's why I have 37 billion buttons surrounding me on my sim rig.
Yeah. But not to fret though if you're listening on and you don't have one of those steering wheels. Usually that's if you are in a lone race. But if you're doing a team race, unlike the ones we're doing tonight, in a team race generally you have a crew chief that can change some of the things for you before you get to the pits and whatnot. So
That's true.
iRacing has your back when it comes to these things.
That's true. I mean, touching on a little bit of the team racing as we're wrapping up practice here in the next 3 minutes or so. A lot of the team racing, we're able to modulate even more or resemble even more of the racing environment. So even when it comes to pit stops, we can really look into having somebody else handle the fuel load, handle the tire, even down to the tire pressure. Somebody else can actually handle that, so the driver can focus on driving, crew chief can handle everything else in the pit stop.
Definitely, the more you can focus on the driving, the better. So
Yeah.
we're following alongside here, RC Anderson right now. He is hot on Alessandro's tail, only surprisingly 2/10 off Tulio here. Looks like Tulio's been putting on some extra work here, as he's still your leader here with about 4 minutes remaining into the session here. And Anderson here looks like he is the lone Ferrari once again. It seems like the ones that did choose the Ferrari have just abandoned it and continue using the Mercedes.
That's what I was going to say too. It looks like Anthony Rand as well, or TJ Rand. Looks like he might actually be running a Ferrari as well.
Oh, okay, cool.
But he's actually still in the pits, so let's see if we can jump over to Rudy Ramsarup, our iRysa ringleader, and he's actually out in the Mercedes-AMG GT3. Let's see where he is exactly coming on. I think he's coming down. Is that turn 1 there? No, this was coming down the, yeah, it was actually coming down the last turn, coming down the main straight. Now, this next part here, let's jump on board back to Watkins so we can go a lap. This part here, there's a lot more track that you can use that actually you can go over the curb to really extend the car out and try to get as much speed into the corner. Coming up through the S's as one of the BMWs goes by, you can really carry a lot of speed up through here. I usually carry 5th gear all the way up to the DRS sign and then go into 6th gear. Looks like the cameras switched there on me for a second. Let's see if I can go back to cockpit. Coming into the chicane here, lots of speed as Rudy goes a little bit off track there.
Too much speed.
Let's see if we can jump on somebody else here. Our lap was slightly cut short there. We gotta jump on board with Diego Iglesias, who's still in the pits.
Let me see, I'll tell you something.
I think we can jump on board with
Try car number 22.
Car number 22. Which driver is that?
Ryan Amoyes.
And let me just switch the camera here.
Give it a switch. Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so perfect. Right where we wanted him. So up through 4th gear, 5th gear, and right back down. Let's see where he's going to take it. 3rd gear. Really want to hold the car here and brake. Oh my god, that was such a close call. We really don't want to see that kind of stuff around here, but we really want our drivers to have fun, but keep it clean, keep it safe. So yeah, as I was saying, you really want to trail brake into that downhill, that front load on the car. It's going to try and bring that back out, so you really want to try to trail brake in. Coming into this next section here, again, another heavy trail braking zone that's coming right around the back part of the track. Another big braking zone into 2nd gear. We want to keep it super balanced, keep it off the wall there. Up to 4th gear. He's going to let him by there, and he's going to stop and cut our lap short. It's kind of the downside of iRacing. You can pull off anywhere and get off the track, but that's alright. We're going to get plenty more laps to go through once the race starts. Looks like practice is actually over now. We're going to jump into qualifying. We've got, Anthony, what do we have, a 10-minute qualifying session?
Yep, 5 laps actually. 10-minute blog, 5-minute lap. 5 laps.
Perfect. So yeah, drivers are going to run for 10 minutes, either 10 minutes or 5 laps, whatever comes first. They're gonna make sure that they lay down their absolute best and fastest lap, try to get a jump on the grid, and we'll see what drivers can do tonight for race one.
So you get ready for qualifying to get underway. Let's see what our drivers can do. Let's see what kind of strategy they do. The most important thing that one can do is to do a different setup than you would for the race. That usually includes changing the fuel load, making it lighter. You don't need that much fuel for qualifying as you do for the race.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of the setup websites that have been set up to kind of provide drivers with setups, they give you both a race and a qualifying setup, and you can really fine tune those setups depending on what you want to do, depending on what scenario you're in. So if you're in the qualifying session and you really want to reduce the weight of the car just to try to get that edge, you can do that. And then, once the race comes back in, if you want to play around with your fuel strategy, whether there's a pit stop involved or you just want to try to get the jump on when it comes to weight reduction, you can do that as well.
Definitely, weight reduction is the name of the game here. That is definitely the preferred way of how to go faster around here. As overall, you'll have more speed through the corners and better balance overall with the setup. Now, let me see. Let me go ahead and see why we haven't focused on a driver yet.
Looks like I don't think anybody's out yet. Yeah, and it looks like most drivers are actually, I guess they're either waiting for.
Ooh, I know why. I just remembered. This is a lone qualifying session today. Our ringleader preferred to do it that way for this race
Oh,
tonight.
well, that makes
So we
sense.
need to pull up the live timing here and wait for drivers to complete their first flying lap.
So, talking about lone qualifying, let's just kind of let everybody know on what that is. So, iRacing has two different options where you can run lone qualifying, which is running qualifying by yourself, or you can do a full open qualifying, which we've seen both ends of that now. And it looks like Rudy wanted to try out the lone qualifying tonight. So yes, we will have to wait just a few seconds here, or just a few more minutes. I think we have about another 6 minutes on qualifying, so we'll just hang out, see if any of our YouTube viewers would like to talk. If anybody's got any questions, please feel free to ask. We're here to engage with you guys as well.
Definitely. Shout out to everybody watching onto the stream here. We'd appreciate it if you haven't done so to like and subscribe and share with all your friends. We're looking to grow this out and expand to other forms of racing, other leagues, and whatnot. And like Jose said, if you got any questions, drop them below. Or if you just want to shout your favorite driver out as well.
And speaking of drivers, we're actually down a driver tonight, and he's actually one of our viewers, Mr. Franco. Franco's on the stream tonight. He's out on a little vacation, watching from far away.
Big shout out to the man here, still supporting his iRysa family from far away.
Yes, he is. I saw on social media he was ripping his iRysa shirt, so it's good to see iRysa making it to other parts of the country.
Now we're getting ready to see some drivers here completing their first laps. Currently, your leaderboard is De Tulio, Anderson, Pecorini, Orjuela, Amoles, Iglesias, Vizamil, Delgado, and it has changed up here as more drivers are still coming into the mix here. Interesting to see the results here as they're a little bit more different than usual, but let's see what happens as more drivers continue their first lap.
Yeah, just about another 5 minutes to go here in qualifying, and then we'll get started with our first round. It's gonna be an 8 lap race, right? It's gonna be the 8 laps for the first heat and second heat.
Yep, 8 laps for both races.
Cool. It's gonna be a fun race. It's like a 3.4 mile track, and as I said earlier, this track is something that I've done both a lot of, specifically this week, in the F3 challenge or the F3 series, I should say, one of the official series on iRacing, and that's a series that I've done a lot of focusing on and that I've kind of put a lot of attention into it because I really enjoy the car, and it's a Formula 3 race where the I guess the setup's a little bit different. You have a little bit of a longer race. The other option is to do the F3 Sprint, which was a 10-minute session. So with the other F3 Championship race, this week we were doing 20 laps at Watkins Glen, this same exact configuration, and just being able to have that little bit of aero as opposed to the GT3 cars, you're able to carry a lot more speed and you're able to just throw the car into the corners, and it's just a lot more fun.
Definitely, that configuration is definitely a fun one. And let's see what an update to our leaderboard. Anderson has come into the mix, still in second place, and Pecorini still here. Actually, just shifted in fourth here. Bobby Ross here is now in third here. A big improvement on him. He's definitely excited about that. He texted me personally a couple days ago after a private practice session with the boys here, telling me that he's not too far from the leaders now. So he's definitely in the mix now.
Yeah, I know that the drivers have really been active all week, practicing, and they've all been kind of just throughout themselves, just hosting different practice sessions. Um, so good for them to really be putting in the time to work on their craft, even though it's virtual. I mean, we've had this discussion already millions of times, but the world has really kind of shifted right now, and virtual racing is really the only type of racing that's going on in the world.
Slowly but surely, we're getting back underway, though. NASCAR is definitely in the mix. They've been going absolutely furious with the schedule, doing, from what I recall, about 3 Cup races per week, and
Wow.
combined with the rest of their touring series, I think it's about uh, six to eight, um, 6 to 8 races per week now, pretty much,
The
depending on
logistics
the.
is, the logistics of that has to be incredible. I can't even imagine the costs. But that's the other difference about motorsport. I mean, of course, we can spend crazy amounts of money in sim, but I mean, I don't think we'll ever see having to spend that kind of money in the sim world.
Maybe in the future. Maybe in the future.
Could
Definitely, you're
be.
right about the logistics part. So I can only imagine. At first, they were doing it a little simpler. From what I understand, NASCAR preferred to do tracks that were relatively close to the Charlotte, North Carolina area. So they did a doubleheader for the Cup Series, at least, at Darlington, South Carolina. So some drivers didn't even book hotels; they just drove the morning of. And now it's doing. They're doing it. Excuse me. Still keeping it relatively close. Just yesterday, there was a race in Bristol, Tennessee.
Nice. I'm pretty excited. I mean, I think that they changed the Homestead schedule too. So we're really hoping to see some local racing starting up again soon, and Homestead, the whole NASCAR thing at Homestead has always been a huge event. And actually, we're running about 40 seconds here left in qualifying. So
Let's go ahead and look at the leaderboard here before the session's over. Then, so currently, DeTulio is still your leader. Anderson here in second. Ross, Pecorini, Crecia, Orjuela, Omoyes, Bohola, Iglesias, and Iglesias. The brothers here doing it in dual fashion. Hernandez, Arenas, Arias, Garcia, Boroso, Rand, Vizamil, Delgado, Piero, Shevlin. Let me look at my other screen here for. I don't know if you have it here at first glance, Jose. Uh,
and which driver did you leave off of? I'm sorry.
20th. Oh, I think it changed now. So
Yep. So it's
now
actually going over to the grid, so we can actually start running through the grid. So
Even better.
in P1, we have Alessandro De Tullio, and in P2, RC Anderson, followed by Bobby Ross, Eduardo Pecorini, Francisco Crecia, Matias Orjuela, Ryan Amoy, Luke Pajola, Diego Iglesias in 9th, Pedro Iglesias in 10th, Xander Williams in 11th, and Jordan Hernandez in 12th. Anthony, go ahead.
In P13, Juan Arenas, followed by Alejandro Arias, Robert Garcia, Frankie Barroso, Anthony TJ Rand, Juan Villamil, Tyler Delgado, George DePiero, Max Shivlin, Victor Leo, a newcomer here for the series, Jerry DePiero, and that should complete our grid here. Let me take a look
No,
here.
looks like we've got in P21 Max Shelvin, followed by Victor Leo. In P23 Jerry DiPiero. In 26
And
Giovanni Meneses.
that's it.
And
Those are our mods
Rudy,
at the end of the list. So.
Rudy Ramsey in P25. So it looks like Rudy might have either missed qualifying or he's just starting at the back of the field there. So let's.
Arguably the safest driver in the field and starting from last place, so it's interesting to see how many.
Might not be a bad place to start though if you want to keep it safe.
Exactly. Well, so let's take a good look here and see how much time is left here. I believe about 40 seconds, if I'm not mistaken.
Cars are definitely, you can hear them revving their engines. They're really anxious to get going.
Can we take a good look at the leader, I guess, for the start?
Yeah, just want to...
Yeah, let's get the good camera angle going here. Good luck's going around here in the voice chat for our drivers here. Some good sportsmanship as we're about a few seconds away from going here. There we go, lights are posted up. Final round here, the GT3 series. Lights out and away we go. Have a good start here, but it looks like the Iglesias brother here. That might have been Diego here. And we have a lone black Mercedes just shooting across through the field here. That might have been Pecorini here. Tullio losing his lead. But Anderson hot in his tail, and he had a pretty good start here.
That Ferrari is really pushing in. Really pushing that Mercedes.
Excuse me, I think that is the Tullio. I'm used to seeing an orange scheme on him, but he's resorted back to black. Now they're hot as they go side by side into the chicane here. Anderson goes first.
Let me just check the paint here. You're going to momentarily see that the cars went all white there. I'm just refreshing the paint. Just want to make sure that all drivers are running their correct paint scheme. Make sure that Alessandro is either running that black one or if he's running that orange one that he's usually running. Oh, looks like he's running a black livery. And RC Anderson has taken P1 on the Ferrari. Let's see how long he can hold it out for. And they're actually already, it's incredible how fast this all happens. They're already on the back part of the track and they'll be running, you know, at the end of lap 1 just in a few seconds here.
Actually, yeah, the Tullio is running a custom livery. That I think is the official factory scheme of the GT3 AMG. But nonetheless, here it's your top 5 right now is Anderson, De Tullio, Pecorini, Ross, Moyes, and Bohola.
Yeah, that's definitely an AMG livery that I've seen before. So let's see. Let's actually go back to to Rudy. Let's see what he's up to. Looks like he's running casually, just taking it easy. And sometimes, like what I said at the beginning of the race, sometimes this may not be the worst place to start a race. I think we just saw another accident there. Sometimes it's a good place to start because you're able to kind of study the field and you're able to make your move. And you have a little bit more time and mental capacity to calculate your moves.
Sorry for the long pause here. I'm a little confused at the leaderboard here because you have one and I have one. Okay, that seems to be correct. There we go. The confusion was that I saw Anderson going purple, but then he kept moving down, further down the list. To to my knowledge, he had crashed. But Anderson is your night leader now. So hopefully we can probably get a replay of the pass here. But until then, let's go ahead and see what's going on with the two up front. It is a 1-2-3 battle with Anderson, Petulli, and Pecorini. Jose?
Let's see if we can pull up that replay here with RC Anderson. If I can just pull it up through here. I'm definitely doing commentary and running the camera, so if you just allow me 1 second, I can...
Big shout out to Jose doing double duty. And a shout out to our officials here as well in the booth here, keeping an eye on our drivers, making sure everything is fair.
And looks like, no, this is not the correct pass here. I'm just going to switch back to live here for a moment. Let me see if I can continue to find it. I don't, but looks like TJ Rand actually might have had a little bit of an incident, so let's take a look and see what happened there.
Oh, he lost it.
Yeah, it looks like he might have got caught off guard with that Mercedes that was in the middle of the road, and that caused him to lose focus there for a second. Switch back. Oh, looks like oh, Pecorini was there in P1 for a second, I saw.
The leaderboards.
He's back down to P3 right now, and RC Anderson's back up in P1. And Bobby Ross looks like he just had an accident. Let's take a look and see what happened here. Big accident there with Bobby Ross.
Hold on. Is that Bobby? Hold on, I'm used to seeing him. Let me take a good look at him.
And
sometimes he runs a blue scheme, and when I saw a blue car just pass by there. Oh yeah, he is in the pits, unfortunately. It's a shame for our most improved driver here.
And DeTulio has passed Anderson for P1. As the drivers are on lap 3 now of lap 8. Starting
about to start lap 4 here, halfway through. Let's go ahead and see who our current hard charger of the race is halfway through. As expected, it is the ASiMRacing ring leader, Rudy Ramsaruk, here with 15 whole spots taken right here, halfway to go, and followed by Piero here in the Ford GT, and the next one would be the other Ford GT, the other Piero brother here, taking some business here.
The two Ford GTs really battling it out and showing what they've got. I think anytime a Ford GT is out, it really brings back those stories of epic battles at Le Mans and between Ford and Ferrari. So I think that this time it's a little bit more of a Ford versus Mercedes with the massive amount of Mercedes cars here. But either way, it's great to see that Ford out on front.
Definitely. Now, thanks to Hollywood, you can't say Ford GT without thinking Ford versus Ferrari. An amazing
I know.
movie.
Incredible.
And,
yes, definitely an incredible movie.
Maybe that'll happen here today here, as we do have a Ferrari dominating the field. Can that underdog Ford GT come from behind and take the win? Well, we'll only have to wait and see. We have half a race and one more to go here in the finale of the ASiMRacing GT3 Championship.
Incredible how fast that all happens. Let's move over to one of our younger drivers, Matias Orjuela. He's got karting experience, you said, Anthony, right?
Yeah, I don't know if he still is. To my knowledge, he is a factory driver, either for Parolin or Praga kart chassis here. I don't remember. He was with. He's a long-time Parolin driver, but I do think he was racing under Praga lately. Nonetheless, he is one of the many drivers that were affected by this pandemic here, and that they had to stop the Italian season. For those that don't know, basically the hotspot for karting is in Europe, specifically in Italy, until you get to the World Championship stage. So, yeah, Orjuela definitely is one of the drivers here with some solid racing experience here. Very, very gifted, and definitely had to get used to the transition here going into sim racing from the real world.
Yeah, I think a lot of drivers have probably had to kind of shift their focus more onto this now, because it went from a world of karting being 100% focus and sim racing just kind of being what you do on the side, to now karting tracks are just starting to reopen, so all these drivers have really had to spend a lot of time, and more time that they've been getting into all these league races, they've really had to spend more time focusing on the actual sim racing craft.
Definitely, it offers a different kind of perspective here. It's different skills that you can add to your repertoire as a racer. There are different things, different feedback mechanisms that are involved in sim racing that are still relatively used in real racing. That you'll have to improve one versus the other. Eyesight is a huge one in sim racing, and it overlaps very well in real world racing. But eyesight is literally your only main focus, no pun intended, for sim racing, and they're pretty much the only that and your sense of touch with the force feedback is your only form of feedback here, unless you invest in a butt kicker like some other people have. And you're the perfect example here. Can you explain to the people here what a butt kicker is, since you're the proud owner of one?
So what I have is it's called it's a tactile transducer that I bolted underneath my seat, and running it through a different software. It's a specific software that has profiles for each car and track, so it tries to emulate the vibrations that you would get that you actually miss in the simulator. So a lot of what drivers feel, specifically in karting, is coming up through your backside and your back. You That's really what you use to feel the car. So that's what that's there for. It's to kind of give a little bit more of the sensation. A lot of it, of course, is for extra immersion, but it definitely feels very weird without it.
So would you say that's made a difference in your driving?
It definitely makes a difference in the driving, because I'm able to get more into it. I'm able to kind of have a more rounded feeling of the feedback, so whether it's kind of all the entire rig vibrating with the force feedback of the wheel, and I run in VR all the time, so I don't see what's actually happening in my physical world. So being able to put the VR headset on and feel all the vibrations, it has definitely happened at times where you're coming into a corner, and your body tries to tell you that you actually went down the corkscrew at Laguna Seca, and you actually kind of feel it, but it feels different when the butt kicker goes out. Sometimes it overheats and it goes out. It's definitely different.
Ooh.
And to touch base on what you actually had said a few seconds ago, I think a huge thing as well about the simulator, specifically in iRacing, that they've done such a good job with the graphics, is being able to pick out reference points that then you can use in the real world and on the actual track.
Definitely here, and the laser scanning that iRacing does has a big role in that here. The realism is absolutely incredible here. You could definitely pick out most of the brain fart here. I forgot the word.
Nuances.
Nuances and markers. There we go.
Yeah,
Brake
markers.
markers, steering markers that you want to use here to increase your consistency. I'll admit it's not super detailed to the point where I say that because I know some drivers will go as far as looking at cracks on the ground
Yep.
as reference points.
Yep. I agree.
But for basic things like objects in the fence, simple brake markers, cones, iRacing goes the extra mile and definitely renders those onto the track here.
Yeah, we're actually coming up, I think, down the back part of the track now. RC Anderson and DeTulio rounding up the last few corners here. They're going to start, looks like they're going to start the last lap of our first heat. It's incredible how quick this goes by.
Definitely here, blink and it is over here. Some hot action here as we get ready to start the final lap here of race one here. This will definitely help determine the champion here, as your race leader is currently in first right now with the second place point leader hot in second right there, following his tail. We're still following the ring leader here, But now we have the 4GT also taking another spot. Both of them taking the hard charger momentarily. Let's see who gets it at the end of the race here. But it's
And
still your leader here, having an epic fight here, Jose.
I'm sorry to interrupt you there, but am I seeing this correctly? Oh no, it looks like Pecorini was down. Looks like I'm having a little bit of issues here with the timing. This was showing incorrect information here, but we're all good. RC Anderson and
even
D'Attilio are going through the boot and coming into this slightly downhill section. Go ahead, Anthony.
even your leaderboard is on edge here as we're watching
For
here.
real.
The leaders taking this battle here.
It's an exciting Monday night.
Yeah, 100%. D'Attilio here trying to do his best to close the gap here. Currently, it's about 4 tenths ahead. Let's see how he can go with about a handful of turns remaining here in the final lap of race 1 of the GT3 series finale.
He's pushing. He's definitely trying to pick up.
He's closing it.
It's like
so they come out of the heel of the boot. Jose?
this is way too exciting to even try to find the words. Oh my god! Oh, I think Alessandro's gonna try and go in through the inside there. RC Anderson's gonna close the door. Let's see.
Prematurely goes on the inside here. He ruins the gap he gained just now, and he extends it.
No, I think Anderson's gonna take it.
One more turn remaining here. He managed to get an extra 10th back there.
Clean exit from Anderson.
He looks like he overdrove it, Alessandro, and your winner for race 1 is RC Anderson in the Ferrari.
And D'Attilio coming in P2, followed by Eduardo Pecorini in P3, Pedro Iglesias in P4, and Alejandro Arias in P5. Drivers are going to start pulling off now and retiring back to the pits. They're going to have a 5-minute warm-up, and then we'll get started with our second heat tonight. Let's see if we can get some results tonight, actually. Let's see if this works
I took a good look there before the leaderboard shuffled around to compensate for on-track incidents. The hard charger was the 4GT of George Piero here. Good job by him. But a close second was the iRysa ringleader, Rudy Ramsarub, taking 15 versus 16 spots. Consistency sure does pay.
Definitely, he started out at the back. He kept it clean, and he just kept his head down and just kept his head and his foot down. And he slightly gets a little squirrely there, but he's gonna make it to the end.
Come on, Rudy, you can do it.
Let's see how many cars we have left. There's still quite a few cars left on track. I'm not sure if we're gonna be able to hold those results. Not yet. We're still waiting on a few cars to round up. Looks like car number 19 is the last one, I think. Still not displaying. Sorry about that. We'll have to get something with the results sorted out here for our viewers tonight.
Alright, we got a bit of a 5-minute, maybe 10-minute break here before we get started on the next race here. A big shout out to everyone in the chat here right now, and by everyone I do mean Franco. I'm just kidding. Franco, Pedro Iglesias, Alessandro, and Jerry here also touching base here with us tonight here in the chat here. Franco saying the best upgrade you could do to your rig is the butt kicker. Some solid feedback there. Big shout out to Rudy and his 16 spots here. And Pedro shouting himself and his brother out here. Definitely some strong teamwork there.
And Anthony, just to confirm, it is a 5-minute warm-up, so we'll be getting going here in the next few minutes or so. Next 4 minutes.
And we'll be right back.
We'll be right back. Stand by.
We are back. Intermission is over. We're getting ready to grid up the final race here for the finale of the GT3 series here. Excuse me.
And starting up with our grid up, it's going to be RC Anderson again in P1, followed by Alessandro Di Tullio. In P2, Eduardo Pecorini. In P3, Pedro Iglesias in P4. Go ahead, Anthony.
Alejandro Ayras in 5th. Jordan Hernandez fall 6th. Then it's Francisco Creatio from El Salvador in 7th. Jerry Piero 8th. Juan Villamil 9th. Rudy Ranzarup in 10th. Robert Garcia in 11th. And Bobby Ross here trying to get a comeback in 12th. Jose?
P13, Ryan Moaz, and P14, Xander Williams. Diego Iglesias in P15, followed by Matias Orjuela. Frankie Barroso in P17, followed by TJ Rand in 18th.
5 seconds.
5 seconds here. Let's run through the last bit of the grid there.
Let's go ahead and look at the. Let's get a camera on the grid here. There we go. There are the lights here. Let's get this finale started here. Lights are out, and away we go here in the last race of the GT3 series, presented by iRysa Racing. Side by side here, looks like Pecorini and Ederson here going into turn 1 here. Massive group behind them here, mostly Mercedes GT3 cars. Clean so far here as we get underway from turn 1 into turn 2.
And Pecorini really got that, really got a great start against RC Anderson there as he's running up through that uphill S, working on extending that gap. It looks like RC Anderson's really fighting back and picked up some of that draft as they go into the boot. RC Anderson takes the lead again.
I just noticed the Tullio disconnected. He missed the start. What a massive curveball here in the finale here for the GT3 series.
Oh no. Well, it looks like Alessandro has had internet issues in the past before.
I'm seeing here he finally connected here. He might just be starting from the grid here, so we're going to be seeing if our second place points leader can come up just like Rudy and Jerry did here, starting from the pits.
Let's see if he's able. Is he still? Oh, he's on track.
There he is.
Let's see what he's able to do. See how much he's able to fight back. We'll right on board with him here for a little bit of the lap. See how it's gonna be tough, but I think that if anybody can do it, we've seen how consistent Alessandro is, and we know he's quick. So if anybody can do it, I think he's gonna be one of those guys that can do it tonight.
Ooh, cold tires here. The overdrives are coming out of the chicane here. Another key factor is the traffic. Alessandro here is notorious for not so clean cutting through the traffic here. Let's see if he'll be disciplined enough to do it here. As we get ready here to complete the first lap here, Anderson going purple here. Nearly a second above Pecorini.
Yeah, they're definitely working on extending that gap out now that the cars are starting to get a little bit more settled into the race. Start of lap 2 already, so those gaps are really starting to extend.
It is a near El Salvadorian top 5 here as Pecorini, Creatio, and Iglesias are sandwiched in between Ederson and Arias here. Here we're following along Creatio here, and the sweet camoed out Mercedes here, trying to chase Pecorini here.
Oh.
You do kind of want to go wide in that turn here. Maybe a little. That was probably a little too much. Still has momentum here. Didn't lose it. Go ahead and see. I'm gonna scan around the track, see what else is going on.
Let's take a look and see at what Luke Bola is doing and how he's doing tonight.
Oh, Juan Arenas is another.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, Luke Bola was gonna say he's one of the I think 2 that is running the BMW. We talked about the Ford in the first race. Let's give a little bit of glory to the BMW. One of my favorite cars to drive in the GT3 series. Looks like only Luke Bola and Juan are the only 2 BMW Z4 GT3s on track tonight.
Oh, it seems like our top 04 GT car is out of the race here. I'm seeing here that he's dropped a full 11 spots, back down to 19th. He probably had an unfortunate start here.
Let's see if we can figure out what happened to Jerry DiPiero. Let's see if the replay has come up on the cameras here yet.
And Alessandro here stating in the chat here that his Wi-Fi is bad. He is manually disconnected here. An unfortunate end for his season here in the GT3 series.
It's rough when you're trying to run the sim on Wi-Fi. It's definitely highly recommended to try to run a direct Ethernet connection. Any small amount of drop in connection, it's not like you're just on the internet browsing around and you don't notice it. If there's any tiny little spike, iRacing will kick you out.
And before it kicks you out, you have all sorts of problems too, such as
Yep.
net coding, which is notorious here in the iRacing community here. But for those that don't know, it is a difference in connection here amongst another driver, and you may or may not have unnecessary contact. If you do get too close to another one, that can be fixed by having a solid and stable internet connection.
Yeah, it used to happen a lot to me when I was still running on Wi-Fi. To me, the telltale that I knew I was about to get disconnected was when all the cars would disappear, and it was it was kind of just the most defeating feeling that you could feel in a race. Imagine just going down, going up through All Rouge flat out, and you're just like, that's it, it's over, just disconnected, it just disappeared. It's never fun.
It's also a scary feeling in terms of sim racing. All of a sudden, you're three wide, or you're right behind a driver on their bumper, and all of a sudden they disappear. You have no idea
Yes.
where they are. You lose your reference point, and by the time you manage to get your connection back, who knows where you'll be alongside with him.
I've seen memes about that, so it definitely happens where cars will literally appear inside your car. So that's the it's the wonders of online gaming. And halfway through the race already. Let's see, we've got RC Anderson in P1. It's like Croatia took P2, Pecorini in P3, and the two Iglesias in P4 and P5.
Sorry, I was taking a good look here. It seems like Bobby Ross here was handed a black flag. I don't know what for. Hope it was justified and whatnot. That's not. Don't mean to put poor Bobby on the spot here. That is not the first black flag of the night here. It's definitely some other ones that were handed out for sure in race one here for different instances. Our our officials doing a good job here with the eye in the sky tonight here.
Yeah, as we touched on the first race, we really want our drivers to have fun, but we want to portray good racecraft. I think personally that racecraft um, is what makes the sport. But I fully understand the emotional side of it, and wanting to push harder than necessary just because you really want that win. But you know, we really want to hone in on what racecraft is, and show good racecraft.
And Anderson here has a whole 2 seconds here of a gap on Croatia here as he goes purple once again. Excuse me, I was looking at the YouTube feed here. But no, now he's on the chicane. Excuse my gazing. Nothing has changed though. He has a near 4 second lead.
He keeps it super steady through that section. I've had problems in that section, specifically in the Mercedes, like the big heavy front engine cars where you're coming down into the corner, it's a downhill section, and you've got all this weight of the engine kind of pushing on or pulling on the car. It's super easy to lose the rear end there, so keeping that car balanced and steady through there is key. Oh, and looks like
Yeah.
Croatia actually crashed. He went from P2 to a crash. Let's see what happened to him here.
Oh.
Did he slightly clip the grass there and run one? And then
I
he
don't
towed
know.
back to pit lane.
He I saw him. He dropped the wheel. He might have lost enough grip to be able to get into that braking zone, and he probably just went in too hot. Either that or he had a brake failure. And by brake failure, I mean something with his hardware back home.
Yeah, well, we know even Formula One drivers experience that when Max Verstappen's pedal fell off. I think during last year's either Spa 24 hours, I think it was.
Legend, yes, that was a legendary moment in sim racing.
Legendary moment. We've had a few experiences with Max, right?
Oh, definitely, yeah. That's
Couple of
another amazing part about iRacing here. You'll never know who you can find in a lobby here, and we had the pleasure of being in a practice lobby with Max Verstappen one time.
Yep, it looks like a lot of these Formula One drivers, apart even just apart from the quarantine, even just on their own before all of this happened, a lot of them run um, the endurance events on iRacing. And iRacing has like their different endurance events split into different splits. Um, so usually on the very top split, you'll find some of the top Formula One drivers and some of
Sorry,
the other top drivers in the world.
sorry to cut you off here.
No.
There is a decent battle here with Alejandro Arias, Jordan Hernandez, and I believe that is Francisco Crecia, maybe, or Matias Orjuela. A nice three-way battle there. We want to take a good look at that. Ain't not there, right there.
There we go.
About to be a four-way battle with Lupo Hola slowly creeping up. That is your current hard charger here in the BMW Z4 with a whole 14 spots up ahead.
I really find that BMW handling wise is got to be one of the best GT3, at least with the setup that I have. And when I say setup, the actual hardware that I have, just the way it feels when I'm actually driving, it's one of those cars where it just feels right and it feels perfect underneath me.
I agree with you, and I'll especially agree with you when you say that setup part. Out of the box, I feel the Mercedes is better, but if you take the time to tune the Z4, it's definitely the better car. And to continue on a side note we mentioned earlier, it looks like Francisco Crecia's day has gone worse. He is handed a black flag as well. Don't know for what. Maybe it was
We'll have to
some
get that
sort of
one
some
reviewed.
sort of by some sort of byproduct of when he went off on track earlier. Excuse me, off track. And as I'm noticing here on our leaderboard, there is only 11 out of the 24 cars that are still on the lead lap here. Definitely a bit of an unfortunate end for some of our drivers here.
It looks like RC is just nice and comfortable, rounding up the last few corners of what's going to be the penultimate lap here.
He has lost his challenger Detulu here, as he now has, instead of a risky 1 to 2 second lead, he has a whole 5, maybe 6 seconds on
it
Pecorini.
it just keeps climbing. So actually, did something happen to Pecorini because that delta's actually climbing quite quickly.
He might have lost it on the exit of the previous turn. Or a really common, but I'd have to say it, or no, a common problem, believe it or not, that happens in the iRacing is somehow a driver will activate his pit limiter button, and then
Oh
he'll
yeah,
start going.
yeah. That's why you see a lot of the higher end wheels. They have a protective ring around the pit limiter because even in the real cars, there's a there's a
That is
ring
true.
around it. I actually saw
And,
something. Go ahead.
sorry, yeah, I have a comment here, probably an ongoing story here on the YouTube stream. Jordan Hernandez has a damaged car here, and he's still driving. He's in seventh right now, still in the top 10. Let's go ahead and see what his car looks like.
Let's take a look at Jordan Hernandez.
As Anderson starts his final lap here, but we're still going to take a good look at Jordan here.
And RC Anderson's actually just a little bit less than halfway done on the last lap, coming up the last few corners to finish off what's going to be this incredible iRysa GT3 championship.
I saw it. Yeah, Jordan did have a bit of cosmetic damage here on front. The crowd's going wild here as they're waiting for him to finish his race here as he tries to muscle it on. But we're still focusing on our current leader here, R.C. Anderson here. The man has come through from the depths of IndyCar and Lucas Oil here to join us in a Ferrari 488 GT3 with a spectacular setup here. And with his driving wits and experience here, he rounds off the last corner here. He's a straightaway way to the finish line. He swerves in celebration here as R.C. Anderson is your winner and quite possibly unofficially your championship winner here in the iRysa GT3 Championship. Second is Eduardo Pecorini here crossing the line here. And third on his way in the bright green scheme is Diego Iglesias.
And followed by Pedro Iglesias in that red Mercedes GT3, and rounding up your top 5 is Ryan Amoya in another one of the Mercedes GT3s as most cars start pulling off here on turn 1 to just retire back to the pits.
And the fan favorite Jordan Hernandez here finishing out in 8th, just only losing 2 spots from his starting position. An impressive drive here with the damaged front end here on the car. Who knows if maybe in addition to that, he might have had steering damage too. Big congrats to Jordan here, trying to never giving up. By not giving up here and still finishing the race.
And Victor Leo in P12 coming up to round up his last few corners here on the end of the race.
A last-minute entry here, Victor Leo gracing us here with his presence. Finishing out race 2 here. If he can cross the finish line here, I'm not gonna count my chickens here before they hatch. He's 9 spots ahead with that infamous 4GT here behind him in 6 whole spots up ahead. Here comes Leo here, crossing the finish line here in 12th. I'm reading here another comment on YouTube. So Jordan did lose some engine power. So big ups for him for finishing the race here with, a portion of horsepower lost in his car.
And I'm actually just now seeing the chat. Looks like we've had quite a bit of guests and viewers chatting, so I just want to say a personal thank you to all of them for engaging with us and giving us the support, not only to RySA but to the ASiMRacing network. Just want to remind everybody, if possible, if you can like the stream, if you can give us a subscribe, it really helps out the channel and helps it continue to grow.
A big thank you to you all. It's all about the interaction here. We're a community here. We're trying to make this as big as possible, so we do appreciate your support.
And it looks like Jerry DiPiero is the last one to cross the line. He's actually running quite slow there. Not sure why he's running so slow. But
Come on, Jerry.
I
hope he doesn't. I hope.
Is he out of fuel? Can we see his fuel gauge here? I don't think so.
Your leaderboard here says he crossed the finish line.
Then let me take
I don't know if that's probably his outlap. Oh, we'll let him enjoy it.
Yeah, it actually. So on the live timing here, I'm actually able to see the lap right down to the decimal point. So it still hasn't quite rounded up to 8 yet. I think that's why. Let's see if once he crosses the line, we can get our results page up. As he's flashing his lights coming up to the last corner.
There we
in
go.
celebration. He made it. You made it, buddy. We're all proud of you.
He was certainly excited about starting the race out with the 4GT, and he's sure finishing
Great
it
run.
Nope, Le Mans style here with the flashing lights.
Great run to all our drivers. That was an incredible GT3 series. That was also an incredible, one of my favorite races. Definitely one of my personal favorite tracks. So it's always always fun to watch and be able to commentate on races where I really personally enjoyed the track. What do you think, Anthony?
It's hard to beat the boot here as we finished the finale here in a solid and favorite track here. That was a pretty good series here. I can only can't expect for this to get better and better with the next one as soon as we schedule it and announce it to you all.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to see how this is going to continue to grow and how just everybody is supporting the entire sim racing as a sport and what it's become.
Definitely. And as the quarantine is starting to slowly diminish here, we're still going to keep growing stronger and stronger, but it solely depends on you guys here, supporting us all here, tuning in every weekend. Excuse me, every week um, when we do host these streams.
Absolutely. Just and once again, thank you all. And I think that's about it, Anthony. Right? I think we're about ready to wrap up here.
Yep, your winner tonight was R.C. Anderson here. Unofficially, he is the champion, but we still need to review with our, excuse me, officials for any post race infractions and whatnot.
And make sure to
But
stay tuned to our social media and drivers or the drivers' social media as well for the official results.
yep. And until then, thank you all for tuning in tonight. I'm Anthony.
And I'm Jose, and thank you so much for watching. We'll be back for the next season, and stay tuned for the dates on that.
Yep. And you
Have a
can tune in this Wednesday for the Miata series as well. So